Well, it is no news that 2024 is over. The reality now is the birth of 2025. Expectedly, a lot of expectations this year. However, meeting these expectations must come with proper planning from the beginning of the year. Now, that means one must start the year 2025 on a sound and strong footing. Don't you think so? So, what are the measures that need to be taken to achieve this? Well, that's our focus on Panorama today. And thank you for joining us. I'm Ruth Aguilera. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will depart Lagos today for Ghana to attend the inauguration of the president-elect John Dramani Mahama on January 7. Mahama, who served as the 12th president of Ghana between 2011 and 2017, was re-elected in December 2024. He will succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo. President Tinubu's trip to Accra is at the invitation of the president-elect, who had invited the Nigerian in December. Mahama and President Tinubu have a long-standing personal relationship, just like Nigeria and Ghana maintain a long-standing bilateral relation. President Tinubu, as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government, will join other African leaders at the ceremony. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, and other senior government officials will accompany President Tinubu on the trip. President Bola Tinubu has received the Awujale of Ijebuland Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono at his residence in Lagos. The Awujale is the paramount ruler of one of the major kingdoms in Ogun State. President Tinubu and the Oba have demonstrated mutual love and respect for each other in their relationship spanning decades. State House correspondent Musbahu Danwahab recalls that the of Ijebuland was the first traditional ruler that President Tinubu visited just a few weeks after his inauguration in 2023. Oba Adetono, installed as the Awujale in 1960, is one of the longest reigning monarchs in Nigeria. Group of traditional rulers from across Lagos State also visited the president. Now, a constant feature of human existence is the onset of change and the entry of mankind into the new year. 2025 should not be different, right? Well, the new year was welcomed with pomp and ceremony by many countries of the world, including Nigeria, with special end-of-the-year events to mark the period. But in the new year, analysts have noted the need for everyone to commence early to plan for the execution of their plans, with visions and goals outlined to how they're going to achieve that. Well, we have in the studio joining us to give us more insight on that is one of our regular guests on Panorama, Mr. Samuel Chukwu. Samuel, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Ruth, and Happy New Year, Nigerians.
Indeed, I see you excited this morning.
I am.
Okay, so I like to use myself as an example before we start this conversation. 2024, I refused to pen down my goals for the year, and I felt the consequences. So let's begin by, knowing how important is it for one to pen down their goals? Thank
you very much, Ruth. There are two ways to live life. One is to live life by default, the other is to live life by design. The truth is, if you do not plan your life, things would happen that are beyond your control and would push you in a certain direction that you do not intend to. Now, that might sound quite harsh, but the good news is you could live life by design. And what does living life by design entail? As human beings, the way we've been created by God is to strive to certain ideals. You would agree with me that the way the world is now is not what it was 50 years ago or 100 years ago. Mankind and womankind have been built to progress towards a goal. So bringing it to an individual level, every year provides an opportunity to strive towards an ideal. And that's my encouragement to everyone, including you, Ruth, that you could strive to a particular idea. And the beautiful thing is this. There is no particular one ideal that everyone must strive to. It is subjective. One man's food is another man's pomo.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, I learned the hard way, so I've decided to pen down for this year.
Oh, that's
but going
beautiful.
forward, looking at individuals, people will want to explore their innovation, look at how they can improve themselves, put personally and otherwise. But how do you begin? It's the start of the year. Do you give yourself targets? Okay, within the time frame of this month, what do you do, really?
Very beautiful question, Ruth. The problem with most of the resolutions and goals that we have is that they are nothing more than wish lists. So on Crossover 90, a lot of us will write 1 million things that we want to achieve, and we'll just throw it to the benevolence of the heavens. Like you say, God, just take this, and we go to sleep. But if you must set goals, you must set what we call systems. And what are systems? Systems are those behaviors, those habits that would enable you achieve those goals. For instance, if you want to write a book, what can you do? What are the little things you could do? You could break it down into chapters. You could break those chapters into paragraphs, into pages, and tell yourself, I would write at least 50 words per day. There's something known as compound interest. I remember back in the days in secondary school, those mathematical concepts are actually life concepts. By the time you write, gradually you would notice that you're getting a page, you're getting 10 pages. The same principle can be applied to every other goal. But there's a concept known as SMART goals. Your goals must be specific. Your goals must be measurable. Your goals must be achievable. Your goals must be relevant to you. And most importantly, your goals must be time-bound. Remember, you can think big, but start small.
I like the fact you said time-bound. Let's also not leave out the financial aspect, because some of these goals, Mr. Samuel, of course, it's more to do with finances.
Very true.
So you can achieve some of it without having a budget, a plan to achieve that. So where does finance comes in, and how do you break that down? Because schools actually resume today. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. That's a very good question. And you're already taking the R part. You've been very realistic. None of us was born with wads of naira notes or dollars in our hands. We all came into this world with nothing. What that means is that every form of wealth has been acquired one way or the other. My encouragement to most people is this: do not focus on the parts that are not within your current control. What can you do at the moment? What are the things you could do without finances? And I'll give you an example. For instance, like I mentioned when we were talking backstage, I have a public speaking business. And I noticed that, yes, I will need a lot of capital. But what are the things I can do? I can plan. I can plan without capital. I could reach out to people without capital. You could start with the things that you can. And there's something spiritual about planning, I've noticed. More often than not, because there's a God that controls the universe. When you start with what you have, He will propel you to certain people, certain resources, certain things that would meet you. But if you do not take that first move, you will not meet those people. Another thing I would like to note is this: those who spend an inordinate amount of time focusing on the things they cannot control are only preparing a recipe of frustration in a kitchen of indecision. So you must spend time focusing on what you can control and trusting in God that the things that are not within your control would align in your favor.
And talking about what we can control being, optimistic, with our country, Nigeria,
Yes.
by deciding to be patriotic. So how can Nigerians, put that spirit of Nigerianness, starting strong in the year and believing in our country?
That's a very, very brilliant and pivotal question at this point of our nation's history. Because of the economic situation, a lot of Nigerians are tempted to fall into the river of delusion and pessimism. But I'm encouraging Nigerians like myself to be optimistic. Of course, not blind optimism. There's an optimism of the sort that is practical and realistic. Every Nigerian should remember that well-famed statement made by John F. Kennedy: ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And this is how it works. If each and every one of us as Nigerians can play our own role in building the Nigeria that we want, the fact is settled that Nigeria will be much better than it is. Just last night, I was watching a YouTube video of the famous president of Singapore, the prime minister rather, Lee Kuan Yew. And if you notice the history of Singapore, they were pushed out of Malaysia. But that is a nation become one of the fastest growing economies in the world. To Nigerians like myself, the Nigeria of our dreams is possible if we play our part first on a personal level and then on a national level.
One block at a time.
Exactly.
One step at a time.
Exactly.
So what happens? Let's look at the odds that could play out.
Okay.
You know, nothing is ever rosy. What happens when challenging times shows up and you're almost given up?
Yes. You know that famous saying we've heard from childhood, that where there's life,
There's hope.
there's always hope. Life, there are certain things that are not within our control in life. And that's where, for me, I like to pray a lot. I believe that there is a God that answers prayers.
Yeah.
And what that does is that it takes away the burden from yourself. But besides that, you must also have the resilience that the darkest point of the night is the time that is closest to dawn. So no matter what you might be going through at the moment, we understand that things might be difficult. Always believe that the sun shall still shine once again. And trust me, it is that hope that will carry you through. People like Steve Jobs, people like Bill Gates, even our very own Femi Otedola and Dangote, they all have their dark moments. But what has made them who they are is that they can rise from the ashes and shine once again. One day, you will shine again.
So you're a life coach, and I want to, this parting question is actually for people who started the year on a very sad note, who don't even believe that anything good will, come out for the year for them.
Yes.
What would be your advice?
First and foremost, I would extend my condolences to everyone who is passing through a very, very dark period of their lives. But one thing I would like to use to encourage them is this. Life is filled with times and seasons. There's a time of planting, there's a time of harvesting. And I want you to think back to a certain point in your life when you were in another dark period where you thought you couldn't come out of. And what happened? You came through. Weeping might last for a night, but joy will definitely come in the morning. Please take heart and believe that God that has allowed you to see this new year will take you through the year, and you'll have causes and reasons to shine and smile once again.
Thank you, Samuel.
Thank
you always have a way to just light up everything.
Thank you
so
very
much
much.
for
Thanks
those
for having
kind
me.
words. Thank you. And I wish you a very prosperous year ahead. You shared your goals with me, and I
Yes.
shared mine.
Yes.
We're not going to tell the viewers, but we'll just pray about them.
Yes.
All right, so let's take a break. We'll be back.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthened in unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
In a land of peace and harmony, we cherish our freedom and unity. But around the world, we've seen how protests can spiral into chaos. What starts as a peaceful protest can sometimes end in anarchy, tearing communities apart.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days.
So those who experience it will run away from it.
Let's learn from these experiences. Let's value dialogue over destruction. Together, we can build a brighter future. Let's choose unity. Let's choose peace. Join us in the Peaceful Future Initiative, because together we can make a difference.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Thank you for staying tuned. The federal government has introduced initiatives designed to improve and sustain food security across the country. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari says these initiatives will involve partnerships with financial institutions to offer support to smallholder farmers. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
The current population of Nigeria was put at 235,151,095 as of Saturday, January 5, 2025, based on the odometer of the United Nations. This reflects a growth of 2.08% from the 2024 figure of 232,679,478. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari stated that current administration is aware of the implications of population growth and is implementing measures to enhance food availability.
Nigeria's population is expected to be 400 million people by 2050. But what we need to do, research in good seed, shorten cultivation period, drought-resistant crops, heat-resistant crops, and also do all year-round farming. This is something that we're looking into.
Among the initiatives aimed at strengthening the nation's food security are the promotion of environmentally friendly farming practices, identification of new strategies to encourage sustainable agriculture, and the provision of advanced equipment to improve agricultural productivity.
We recognize we have smallholder farmers, we have family farms, we also have medium holding farmers, we also have industrial. So all of this we are trying to properly define them to enable us target them for intervention.
Government also introduced measures to enhance food distribution systems, ensuring vulnerable communities have access to nutritious food through various community programs. Additionally, heavy machinery, including tractors, will be distributed nationwide to assist farmers in expanding their cultivation areas.
Mr. President has given us approval for 3 different mechanization programs. One is the John Deere, with John Deere Tata Africa, that seeks to supply 2,000 tractors every year for the next 5 years.
The agricultural sector required partnership, and we recognize this also. We are providing that, space for the ecosystem to grow in terms of our partnership with our development partners and more importantly with the subnationals, the state. And you might recall that many of the state governors had visited us because of that.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the distribution of farming inputs for dry season farming across the country. The first batch of the beneficiaries are wheat farmers from 16 states who are receiving a 70% subsidy on all necessary inputs for the crop cultivation. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The long-awaited reconstruction of the Koko Mahuta Dabai Road in Kebbi State is to commence before the end of this month. Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State gave this information while meeting with the Zulu and Yoruba communities in Birnin Kebbi at the Government House. Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa reports.
The popular Koko Mahuta Dabai Road has been in deplorable condition for ages, especially for its potholes that can turn a 2 to 3 hours journey into a grueling 6 hours ordeal. However, relief is on the horizon as Governor Nasir Idris has secured approval from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to complete the mega project in 2025, demonstrating their commitment to fulfilling campaign promises.
The period of politics has ended. We are now in governance, so now it is look into people's problem and way of solving them.
The news has sent waves of excitement throughout the state, particularly among people of Zuru and the southern region, who have expressed their gratitude through a spokesperson.
That road has also been awarded and we are very happy for that.
The governor also met with the Yoruba community in Birnin Kebbi.
Us about our hall and there about one mosque where we mentioned. And they already promised about that hall now.
Looking ahead in 2025, Governor Idris is optimistic and has envisioned a year of empowerment and human development for the state. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa.
INEC says it is not contemplating destroying more than 6 million uncollected permanent voters' cards going back to the 2015 voter registration. The Commission was reacting to a report by a national daily that there are plans to destroy the uncollected cards. The Commission, in a post via its verified X handle, called on the public to disregard the report. In other news, 3 Nigerian nationals, Hadiza Abba, Fatima Umati Mala and Fatima Kane Gamboy, have been released. The trio, in a statement by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, were arrested and prosecuted for trafficking in drugs on 5th March 2024 at Prince Mohammed bin Abdul Aziz International Airport, Medina, Saudi Arabia, after spending 10 months in detention. The statement adds that the arrest of the 3 women led to the earlier arrest of 2 Nigerian nationals who were found in possession of 80 capsules of cocaine weighing 900.28 gram and 70 capsules of cocaine weighing 789.5 gram. Thereby, the women were detained by the Saudi authorities on suspicion of being accomplices and abating the trafficking of the banned substance found on the arrested Nigerians. African youths are beginning to embrace the saying that do not think of what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. This was demonstrated by some youths drawn from 10 African countries engaged in exceptional humanitarian work in their local communities. Diana Ajali, who witnessed their recognition by the Future African Leaders Awards Foundation in Lagos, has more for us.
In an ever-changing society such as Africa, where youths are faced daily with various challenges, ranging from lack of access to quality education, grooming young people towards becoming change agents should be given priority. These young men and women drawn from across the African continent have not just demonstrated leadership qualities, but imparted several lives in their local communities.
Campaign reached out to over 516 teenage mothers from local communities, and which led to the rehabilitation and rescue of 48 victims of sex trafficking.
My work is inspiring youth to start in this field, to train them in skills in technology and train them in skills in entrepreneurship.
I want to give a special thank for our man of God that's supporting me a lot.
The Star Prize winner of Benin Republic was given additional $25,000 grant, courtesy the Future Africa Leaders Foundation, under the auspices of Reverend Chris Oyakilome International Foundation.
I found out the different ingredients that can be replaced, and I made the Moringa Fresh toothpaste.
The recognition, however, aims to identify, celebrate, train, and support African youths who have been adding their voices through exemplary leadership qualities.
These opportunities have not only amplified their work, but also inspired millions of young Africans.
There are other fora that the foundation provides
There's a leadership initiative, a program where people are mentored. And it is from this leadership initiative that there's a Leadership Initiative Award.
120 youths have been financially empowered through Fala initiative since inception. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And that concludes Panorama. Thank you for your time. I'm Ruth Aguilera.